So with Friday's release of the Avengers 4 trailer, it seemed like a good time to discuss where the Marvel Universe is going and what I hope Avengers 4 does. I've already unpacked everything in the Avengers 4 trailer, talking about possible theories and links to the comics. If you want to give it a watch, I'll put a link in the description. I thought though, as we are gearing up for Avengers 4, why not talk about where the universe has got to and where I hope the Marvel Cinematic Universe will go with future films. So let's jump in.
I know you know that.
It's the front door.
That's me. Can you buzz me in?
So 10 years of build up and it will culminate all in this film with Avengers 4. After Infinity War, it is felt the MCU has basically hit pause for now, with only Ant-Man the Wasp and Captain Marvel being released, two films which are actually based before the events of Infinity War, so fans aren't getting that much hint at what is to come after Infinity War. I'm sure Captain Marvel will make some references maybe near the end, similarly how Ant-Man the Wasp did, but nothing will be given away. It's fair to say Avengers 4 will probably be the biggest film next year, even with competition from Star Wars Episode 9, which in my opinion is actually getting very little hype currently. Hopefully Avengers 4 will go for broke, setting up endless possibilities for a vast range of storytelling. The MCU has done so much for comic book films and has reshaped the film industry as we know it, with various other film companies attempting to launch their very own cinematic universe, with nothing to date being nearly as successful financially or critically as the MCU. But something has kinda always bugged me about the MCU, and I think the MCU is beginning to address this issue as audiences are becoming more accepting of the comic book source material. Now what I mean by this is embracing some of the wackier elements of a comic book universe. The MCU has slowly began to introduce these elements once their cinematic universe was established. This of course started with 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy, which took the MCU out of Earth and explored the cosmic side of this universe with a colourful space adventure. And it felt very much a kind of 60s throwback to those crazy designs that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko used to complete for their comic books, and it was really refreshing to see and an amazing risk Marvel took on, and it showed that they were willing to take on the crazier side of the MCU. Over the years, the MCU has lent into its absurdness with characters like Doctor Strange and the recently released Thor Ragnarok, and of course Infinity War really showed that they were going to embrace that anything can happen in comics, whether it be changing reality, and probably we will see bringing people back from the dead, although of course the MCU has kind of done this, but mostly as fake outs. So what does Avengers 4 need to try and achieve? I think a key thing is getting the balance between resurrecting the characters who apparently met their demise in Infinity War and concluding the original Avengers storylines. No one quite knows what will happen to the two biggest stars of this universe, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, on whether they will continue after Avengers 4. Being obviously quite expensive actors, and with Chris Evans already tweeting what seemed to be a goodbye to his character, it seems maybe these two guys will probably move on after Avengers 4. But it's all remained to be seen. I think Robert Downey Jr. plays such an important role within the MCU that it would be a shame to lose him, and maybe these two will still carry on, but very much as background characters. Personally, I hope most of Avengers 4 will spend time with the original Avengers that we saw in 2012, completing these characters' 10-year-long journey since the start of the MCU, and for me focusing on Captain America and Thor, two characters who have really grown into their roles within the MCU, when once beginning as very small characters that many of the general public never knew about, to becoming household names within the film industry and the comic book world. And they are now truly iconic superheroes. With Robert Downey Jr., he has always been the star of the MCU and has had so much time dedicated to the Iron Man story that I don't actually feel too much needs to be added to it. I think probably just closure and completing that story. But Captain America and Thor have really grown into their respective stories that I think a lot of times should be focused on completing their character arcs.
I could do this all day.
So hopefully we will see these two characters given fairly similar screen time as Iron Man. I hope most of Avengers 4 will not dedicate itself to the plot point of bringing back the fallen characters, and will just focus on our surviving characters from Infinity War, and them trying to basically launch one final attack on Thanos. It is a difficult story point to tell for the Russos. They have the decision on whether they spend an entire film trying to bring back these characters, or do they dedicate it to the surviving characters that actually in the end defeat Thanos, and then in the film's climax bring back the previously demised characters. The Russos are taking on a huge role here in Avengers 4. I thought Infinity War was going to be a huge ask, and I never knew how they were going to pull it off, but they somehow did it, so I have every confidence that the Russos definitely know how to tell the best Avengers 4 story. So I can't wait to see what they think up, because I know it's definitely 100 times better than anything I could think of. Another thing I think Avengers 4 will need to do, and I'm sure it will, is permanently change the roster for the Avengers. They haven't recently set up many new characters, with Captain Marvel being the first new character film introduced since 2015's Ant-Man, so I'm sure we will basically see all the characters introduced in Phase 2 become the new Avengers. But personally, I would like to see a new roster and basically the baton handed on to a new set of characters. It's a big risk from the MCU to make this change, but I think it is necessary. Shaking up things and trying to change things up is always what the MCU has been about, and Kevin Feige has always said that after the Avengers films there will be a clear difference between Phase 3 and everything after this point. And it will be very refreshing going into Phase 4 with an entirely new team, and it will feel, in a sense, the MCU has rebooted, and it will just feel completely fresh and completely new, and everyone can sit down and see a whole new story pan out over probably another 10 years to the next big event.
You people are so petty and tiny.
Avengers 4 will of course be a grand story, but it needs to be even larger than Infinity War, really diving deep into what the Infinity Stones are capable of. I mean, these MacGuffins that have been part of the MCU for the last 10 years are supposed to be able to do anything, and should be able to open up the possibility for anything and everything to be possible within this universe. Such a various amount of storytelling could be told, and for me, I want to see alternate dimensions and stories told from a what if perspective, such as what if Tony Stark never became Iron Man, or what if Thanos actually won. These could all be told by showing the true nature of the Infinity Stones and not limiting their ability like they were in Infinity War. Obviously, Infinity War had to try and set up the destructive and different capabilities of the Infinity Stones and establish to the audience that anything is possible. Based upon reception of these capabilities from general audience members who basically accepted that these MacGuffins could do anything, and obviously a lot of fans have questioned why didn't Thanos do certain things if he had these abilities, and it's kind of been written off by the Russos that he was just toying with the Avengers. But hopefully now we'll kind of see the handbrake taken off and really dive deep into all these different things the Infinity Stones can do. I think overall in this video what I'm trying to get into is that I would like to see Marvel take new risks. Marvel has always been good at noticing when their cinematic universe is becoming tired and always made changes to freshen it up. I think it's really evident in what we saw in 2014 with Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy. The MCU, people forget, had a really bad 2013 with Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 3. Two films that were very stale, very dry, and really didn't receive great critical reception from fans or critics really. So what came next? Two kind of risky films from Marvel with Guardians of the Galaxy and Winter Soldier, and it reinvigorated the universe. Moving on, the MCU has made such a vast array of films that it's beginning to notice that their films shouldn't just follow the same formula as before, and freshening things up really helps to invigorate their cinematic universe, which I think a lot of other film universes have not realised at this point. But now I think it's truly time for Marvel to really dive into what the Marvel universe is all about. Colourful characters set in a wacky universe where anything is possible. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is well and truly established, and it is not going anywhere anytime soon. So why not broaden the universe even more and show it can get even crazier than Thanos wiping out half of the universe? Introducing such characters as Galactus and Silver Surfer, which would really take the Marvel Universe back to its 60s roots with its incredibly psychedelic theme. These are just kind of my thoughts on what I hope Avengers 4 will be and the Marvel Universe going forward. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.